So that issue of public housing, I mean, the list at this point in time is 35,000 people long, which is extraordinary. Children on that list, families on that list. What are all those people doing in the meantime?
So they're in the homelessness service system. So they might be in crisis accommodation or some sort of supported accommodation. A large chunk of them are in the private rental market and paying way too much in rent compared to their low incomes.
Yep.
And I think that's a real challenge for us in Australia. It's been a culture that's relied heavily on home ownership, and home ownership's been a big part of what we expect in our lives. That's getting out of reach for people. So the rental market is getting much larger, but it's not well equipped to meet that demand. So you're seeing a lot of competition at the lower end of the market, where people on higher incomes are trying to source the lower cost accommodation. So people on really low incomes are finding it very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And compared to people on higher incomes, don't make a great tenant on paper.
And do we have any clever ideas for how to increase that housing supply, particularly at the lower end?
So we know that the housing market is out of control. So housing prices have doubled over the last decade. We also know that during that time, the population has risen by about 17%, and public housing and social housing has increased by 6%. So you've had a housing market out of control, prices increasing, and a decrease in the amount of social housing. The only way to rectify that is increased investment by government in social housing, because for the housing market to work, you need the different components of the housing market to work. So you need home ownership to work, you need a private rental market, but you also need subsidised housing. The reality is subsidised housing is part of the housing market in pretty well every developed country. Ours runs at just under 4%, which pales into insignificance compared to other countries.
Right.
But it's like all things, you know, the government promised you the world. 10 years later, I'm still asking for more affordable housing. It's not there. They're not listening. That's why you've got a lot of young bucks out on the streets. Okay, they make it more noticeable. They might go around it the wrong way, but in the long run, people are taking note. We all need affordable housing, no matter who we are.